The board has asked me to speak with respect that the special meeting of the members, which was scheduled for June 30, 2009, has in fact been rescheduled. What had happened was that the proxy which the association had used on numerous occasions during the past several years and had in fact been approved by council, certain issues were brought to our attention with respect to that proxy, and in an abundance of caution we recommended that the association reschedule the meeting, which will be done at no charge for the association with respect to postage. It's not uncommon that these meetings are rescheduled for a variety of reasons, which could be a lack of notice, a lack of postage, untimely mailing. Our position is, and always has been, that any type of issues should in fact be corrected prior to the actual meeting itself, rather than after the fact when it becomes a lot harder to correct. So that's pretty much it. I just want to thank you for being here, and that's it.
Thank you very much for all your help too, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. See you
We have the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion to waive the reading of those minutes and accept them as presented? Motion was made by Michael, seconded.
Which minutes are these?
The last meeting.
Of the 19th.
The 19th. I second.
Seconded by Deputy Bond. Are there any objections? Unanimously passed. Okay, the present. Thank you very, very much. Sorry about that. Okay. As always, I want to thank you all for coming tonight. And later in the meeting, you're going to be hearing good news about our water expense mitigation efforts and the progress of our new website and the steps we're going to make certain areas like perimeter walls less vulnerable to climb overs. Last Friday, Howard, Michael Schenkel, and I met with our senior account manager at KW, Roxana Cabrera, about the many complaints concerning the collection of maintenance occurring on our delinquency reports. An immediate result will be the redrafting of the 30-day demand letters so that the recipient knows exactly what payments are considered late. And this will make it much easier for the recipient to get the matter straightened out when they come to the office. In addition to being able to come to the office at any time with a problem, we're going to establish some set hours during the week, particularly for people who work, when owners can come into the office by appointment to sit down with Chanel and discuss problems and concerns without interruption. Another great step is that we will all be able to go to the website and pull up a copy of our ledger sheet and review our account at any time we wish. The Wednesday night bingo has been halted for the time being because for a long time the association has been subsidizing the games by the sum of $50 per week. That doesn't sound like very much until you realize that it amounts to $2,600 a year. And we simply can't afford to continue to do that. There was a time when the Grand Ballroom was packed with people playing bingo, and it was even a source of revenue for the association. But those times have changed, and not for the better, unfortunately. In his report, Howard will mention a possible venue to get the bingo reinstated. Coffee and cake after meetings are discontinued for the time being. Recently, less and less owners stay after the meeting, unfortunately because we make them too long, and the evening gets too late. And it looks like the coffee and cake is no longer a priority. All of these items could be looked at again in the future. If there are things that the association members really want, we'll look into them and try to make them available. As Mr. Bro told you, we're sending out revised documents concerning the proposed amendments. I have also sent out a letter concerning this action, and the association will not bear any portion of the cost of my letter or the second mailing of the amendments. We need some volunteers to get out the town crier. This is something we really should do. We may not be able to publish it every month, but we should be able to publish it every 2 or 3 months. And it's a marvelous, marvelous way to get out news of what's going on in the association. Please, would you think seriously, I mean, if you have any time at all, or at least a little bit of ability, we have people who can type so that we can put it into form, but we need contributions for the paper and somebody to help to paste it out and put it together. We have not anything determinate yet, but we have a letter from our attorneys Katzman and Garfinkel Rosenbaum that the Pegasus Claim, which they're pursuing for us, has been scheduled for a mediation hearing on August 21. I don't have much more information than that, just that the meeting is going to be held, and that he says, the attorney, we will be in contact shortly to discuss who should attend the mediation. I just wanted you to be aware that things were moving along.
That's a citizen's claim.
The insurance company. Citizens, yes. We also have an offer by one of our owners, Miss Christina Marshall. She's a certified yoga teacher. She lives in the village. She's in the Bordeaux building. And she says she's been living here for 22 years, and I'm sorry to say I don't know her. Perhaps I've seen her, but I don't know her. And Christina Marshall. And she'd like to teach as a volunteer yoga 2 days a week, if there is enough interest. And we're looking into whether or not we have to have some special waivers signed, so far as liability is concerned and that sort of thing. We're just not sure. And as soon as we get that straightened out, I'm seriously hope we can put something together. Because it's just great to have volunteers come forward this way. And also the very, very good news is Howard will tell you is the interlocking elevator.
The part is in, they need to adjust it in the morning.
The part is it needs to be adjusted in the morning. And I'm particularly happy about this because I had an email recently from the watchdog of the condo, Mr. Samuels, saying, why hasn't the interlocking elevator been repaired for 8 days? This is inexcusable. Certainly is regrettable. He goes on, by keeping KW here, you, Francis, are personally violating the Americans with Disabilities Act. So I don't really think that I'm guilty, but just in case I might be, I offer my apology to the entire village for not being able to put a part in the elevator or secure it in enough time to get the elevator running. There's nothing worse in the world than for an elevator to be out of service. God knows when Yorkshire is out of service, I am at my wit's end. To infer that somebody would deliberately tolerate this is truly, truly nasty. I just thought you should know.
May I answer that? Sure. May I answer that? May I answer that? Right.
As I understand it, the elevator broke a week ago Sunday. Is it repaired yet?
No.
No. So where does the association's responsibility come in? If it went down on a Sunday, I would think we could have exercised due diligence and gotten that part and fixed it up within 3 or 4 days.
We could not get the part.
Please, let me finish.
The part existed in the country.
The part exists somewhere in the country, and if the board would have, or you would have exercised due diligence, you would have gotten that part by Tuesday or Wednesday and got someone to fix it. It's now 9 days later.
Why didn't you get it? Why didn't you
Why don't you do
You
it?
didn't have the authority.
Why didn't you do it?
You can't do it.
Huh?
I can't do anything more than you can do it. The elevator.
Yeah, but you're part of the majority. All you had to do was to take your 40 years of expertise and tell the manager how to fair do it.
No, this is,
Don't stop copying now,
this is
please.
counterproductive. The man is clearly out of his mind. He has been for a long time. The point is this.
What committee are you on? What committee are you two in?
Paul,
We don't know when this is
Paul,
gonna be fixed, if ever.
don't put yourself as low as he is, please. Now, one suggestion that you made was excellent, Paul, and that is, all of our elevators are old. So what we're going to do is look into having this particular part, because it is very difficult to get. And we have gotten it, fortunately, expensive, but we ordered it and sent it immediately. But the suggestion was made, and it's very, very valid, and we'll look into it, of buying this part and keeping one on hand for emergencies. And then we would have to be concerned about this terrible, terrible
That
delay.
suggestion.
Sir,
Did Scott make that suggestion?
you did.
Oh, I did.
Yes,
You heard it somewhere.
Oh, that's what I did.
No, the suggestion came from a more rational board member.
Majority of them never get us.
I'm saying we move on. Oh, Lord, I'm up again. The treasurer's report. And this is going to be brief. Okay? For some reason, and I think it's probably because we need to do something very drastic about our equipment, there's been a shortfall in revenue in the laundry. And some of this is due to the fact that it's now the summer season and a lot of the snowbirds have gone. But I think this is also due to the fact that people are dissatisfied with the equipment and with the fact that we're not getting good service from our contractor. So Howard is going to lay down the law about exactly who is responsible for cleaning out those vents and frequently. And if it's our people who are supposed to be cleaning out their vents, they're going to be done religiously, I assure you. And if it's the laundry company that's supposed to be clearing out the vents, we're going to be sure that they do it religiously. We had some items that went over our budget, our legal fees, and most of it was directly attributable to the renegotiation of the Wachovia loan. Again, most of the charges were incurred because despite the feeling of the majority of the board and one of our attorneys and our accountant that Wachovia was going to be as good as we could get, Mr. Samuels and Mr. Wolf insisted that Katzman continue to try to find different financing. This resulted in 3 months of delays and additional fees. The attorney fees that Katzman collected were the biggest part of the overage. Printing and copying has gone over budget, and some of that is due to the town crier. I'm sorry. I feel very badly about the town crier because we do need it, and yet we're so pinched for money that seems to be the place where we should cut down. Water and sewage have exceeded budgeted numbers. Some of that is due to the winter season. A lot of it is due to poor drainage, leakage, and as you know, we've got a campaign to really get after this and save a lot of money with our plumbing. After taking into account some reallocation of funds, because we allocated some funds from operating that should have come out of another account, construction. We actually are doing better with our budget by $7,000 this past month, which is incredible. We're not out of the woods. During the period March through April, delinquencies were down 10%. Let's hope they continue. Unfortunately, the Wachovia special assessment increased by approximately 5% in delinquencies. And the SBA assessment decreased by 10%. So we're doing better in some areas, we're not doing so well in others. New liens filed as of January 12th, number 17. There were 5 association foreclosures placed through June 12th, 8 bank foreclosures. 19 second notice demand letters went out, very strong letters to pay up. And I asked Howard specifically what the success was of these demand letters. And he said, actually, we're getting good results. That generally after the second notice goes out, which is very strong, people do come in and make arrangements to cure their delinquencies. We settled 13 delinquent accounts after sending out the second demand letter. We have to ignore Mr. Wolf, but he has very important business affairs to conduct. We received approximately $50,000 in delinquent payments. So that's very, very encouraging. And I want you to know that the office is keeping very diligently after these things. And that is it. I'd like to turn it over to Howard. I'm sorry.
Question on the treasurer's report. I don't understand why Katzman was paid, I understand like $14,000 in addition because of the extension on the Wachovia loan. When I was privy and involved in the meetings in his office,
You know what?
and at that time, and at the board meetings, of course, we instructed Katzman to close the Wachovia loan while we allowed them, because of Mr. Wolf and Mr. Samuel's request, to look for new money. But he was definitely, I mean, I have it on video, he was definitely instructed at that November meeting to deal with Wachovia and get the loan closed before the end of the year. And there's no reason why I would pay him a dime for his work past the December 27th deadline, because he was instructed to close it, and he just let it go because there was money in it for him. And I am upset as a property owner and one that's paying like everybody else, why we would simply pay his bill when he was instructed to close the loan, while at the same time look for new money. I mean, if we want to pay him, that was the wrong thing to do, but if we did that, instructed him to look for new money, then maybe we have to do that. But we don't have to pay. He should pay for the extension in January and February, which amounted to $8,500. We should not pay because he was instructed to close before the due date, December 27th. I just think that that's...
I want to answer him.
Oh, please do.
First of all, you're all wet as usual. The
I'm not wet at
man,
all.
you're not wet?
I'm not wet. I'm all dry.
Your brain, which is lacking any intellectual
My brain will
ability.
match your
You weren't
brain.
here, number one. You weren't here.
Just speak
Anything,
without all of this rancor, please.
okay, anything that Lee Katzman did was with board approval.
Right, but he was approved.
He was
to
not
get the loan
told that he has to close it by December 21st.
I'll show you the video.
Doesn't matter what the video says.
It doesn't
Afterward, we
matter.
met
That's
with
the
him.
only thing that counts is what we instructed him to do.
So what happened after December 21st? He was closing in on deals and the board voted to give him extra time.
Well,
No, you
again,
weren't even there.
The fact, I was there.
You were there in January? You were there in
I'm
February?
not talking about January.
That's what he got paid for.
I know
I'll
he
tell you
was.
what, you're a wealthy guy, you sue him, we paid him.
That is
already.
not a crime. That is not a crime. It should happen to you.
So why don't you sue him? Sue him, we paid him.
I think it's my job. I think it's the board's job not to pay and let them come after us. Thank you.
Manager's report.
Why?
And if you want to know it in very, very blunt, want to hear me say it, we got screwed.
And it doesn't feel good.
That doesn't feel good.
No kissing.
Okay, after that, manager's report for tonight's meeting. Incident reports. The security guard reported that the resident slipped and fell in the arts and craft room, sustaining a cut-up to her head. The ambulance was called in and took the resident to the hospital. As of today's date, I have not seen or heard from this resident, so I do not know what the situation is. Administration update. Crystal Perez, administrative assistant, resigned. She was replaced by Chanel Forbes, who is and was an employee with KW Management for over 2 years. She has replaced Crystal, and she has a strong accounting background. The reason we decided to bring her here. Wilhelmine Carby has been employed on a part-time basis. She will be directly responsible for the preparing of the sales and leases packages. An employee time clock has been introduced. Amendment mailer has been prepared and should arrive. Well, this was done before you would have gotten this mailer. Workers' performance tracking has been implemented. The maintenance staff is now required to submit a daily work report stating work performed and hours worked on said projects. Website is up and running and is being populated with various association documents. Board members has been given access to it for review before going public, which should be no later than this coming Friday. Once the website is completed and accessible by the residents, a training session will be held on its use. And are supposed to do either a live demonstration on the big screen or a PowerPoint presentation. Notices will be posted for that. Since not all residents have access to computers, it may be useful to install 2 new computers in the library to afford those residents access to the website. Maintenance projects. Entrance cabana to the interlocking has been refurbished. It's been completed as of this afternoon. The door to the second floor laundry room in the Marseille has been replaced with one that allows residents to see who is on the other side of the door. This was done due to the injuries sustained by a resident who was hit over when the door was pushed open by another person. The paint of the exterior of the Grenoble building has started. However, the present weather conditions has slowed up work. Scupper installation has begun, but again, the present weather conditions have slowed the installation. And as of this afternoon, 2 of the buildings have been completed, and the Heidelberg should be completed hopefully by the end of this week. Weekly building inspections are being done by both maintenance supervisor and myself. Best Buy Roofing has repaired leaks on the Bordeaux building. Work was done under their warranty. Roof repairs was completed in the Interlaken building on Saturday the 6th, which is last Saturday. Roof repairs are ongoing on the Delhi roof. Most of it has been done, I'd say 95%, and it's just a matter of cleaning up now. Security. In an effort to discourage, persons from jumping the fence along the Inverrary Boulevard, Bougainvillea plants will be installed in the area between the canal and the concrete fence. Recommendations. 2 computers should be installed in the library for use by the residents. A pedestrian gate with card access should be installed along the Inverrary Boulevard. This has been implemented at Las Vistas and curtails residents from jumping the fence. Change exterminators to Orchid, and later on in the meeting I'll present proposals for a new exterminating company. And that's my report for this evening. Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment about the gate. Would you be kind enough, please, Howard, to get estimates as to what something like that would cost us? We shouldn't delay with the planting of the bougainvillea and look into the cost of the gate. It may be feasible, it may not. Are they, sorry?
Along the wall, what are we going to put up on the walls so people can...
Bougainvillea. Bougainvillea.
Plants with thorns in them. We cannot install anything that can harm someone if they climb the fence. We can be
But we can do plants with thorns.
Plants with thorns.
Discourage someone from trying.
That's something within our possibility right now. Okay, committee reports, please. Sales and leases.
The Sales and Lease Committee met on June 4th at 2 o'clock. attendance was taken, and everybody was there on the committee. There was one sale for one bedroom that was went for $48,000. On the leases, there were 3 one-bedroom leases, which ranged from $700 to $825. One two-bedroom lease for $550. There were 2 rollovers for one bedroom, and they went for $690 and $775. Occupancy, there were two occupants that were approved. That was the meeting. But there are a couple of issues that we want to bring before the board. If you will indulge me for a moment or two, I'd like to call on Marvin to present these issues.
Thank you, Ann. The 2 issues that the committee has been dealing with and will continue to deal with are, the first issue is confidentiality. People who submit applications have an expectation of privacy when they give the association their private personal information. I know I did when I submitted my personal information. Having to discuss this personal information with realtors and other unit owners in the room makes it difficult to conduct association business and maintain confidentiality. This is unfair to the applicant. We would appreciate it if the board would make a ruling that would allow the Sales and Lease Committee to meet in private. Bear in mind that the committee's decision will be known almost immediately after the meeting. And the other issue is income and asset qualifying. I was recently instructed by some board members to combine income and assets together in order to qualify an application. This instruction was made after a discussion about a rental application where the proposed tenant's income was less than the minimum requirement. This is a change in the way the committee has been functioning. Prior to this, we were handling it as income or the applicant has to qualify either income or assets. Since we are already dealing with low-income individuals and families because of the very low $25,000 threshold, it is our opinion that this change will lead to a further decline in the security and the well-being of the residents of International Village. So we respectfully request that the board consider this issue and give the committee your instructions in writing. Now, on a personal note, in dealing with these 2 issues, you're going to have to come across different competing interests. And at least 2 of them are, on the one hand, the welfare and the well-being of the residents of International Village versus the fear of somebody suing. So this is something that you need to deal with, and the committee awaits your reply. Thank you.
The only comment I can make right now is that if, and I believe it does, our condo docs state that the economic burden has got to be met either with earnings and or assets.